All rise. Circuit Court Branch 3 is now in session. Honorable Karen Kubich presiding.
You guys can be seated, please. Thank you.
24-year-old Logan Barclay faces the family of the woman he murdered, the victim's mother, laying into him before he's sent to prison.
I hope you spend the rest of your time left here on this planet wasting away in misery. Every day of your directionless, pathetic life. Rot in hell.
Welcome to Crime Fix. I'm Angenette Levy. Logan Barclay will now spend life in prison for the April 2024 murder of his ex-girlfriend, 22-year-old Kiersten Hansen. However, he will be eligible for parole after serving 50 years. That's a long time. But before we get into how this case was resolved, let's quickly go over how we got to this point. On April 16, 2024, the couple was walking along a local biking trail in Rock County, Wisconsin, when they started arguing about the possibility of Kiersten being pregnant with their second child. The two already shared a son, and as a young couple, this wasn't part of the plan. Barclay admits to police that during the argument, he snapped and shot Kiersten in the stomach and left her for dead along that trail. Kiersten's body was found by hikers along the Peace Trail bike path in the Fisher Creek area. According to the medical examiner, Kiersten died from homicidal firearm-related trauma. After her body was discovered, police looked into possible suspects, starting with her ex, with whom she shared that child. Police executed a warrant at Barclay's home where they discovered incriminating evidence, giving them enough probable cause to arrest him. 7 months later, Barclay pleaded guilty to first-degree homicide with a domestic abuse modifier. And now, it's time for him to learn his punishment, the DA describing how he views Logan Barclay.
Sir, the state's position is that the correct answer, the only correct answer is life without parole. The basis for that is that the crime could not be more severe, that, frankly, words fail to capture the defendant's lack of character. And because the public deserves to be protected, both generally through general deterrence and specifically the victim's family.
Now, as with any sentencing, the families of the victims have a chance to speak. Kiersten's mother poured her heart out in describing her daughter and what life will be like without her.
Kiersten was a daughter, a sister, a twin, a former classmate, a coworker, a neighbor, and a friend. She was also a mother who will grow up only knowing her through photographs and stories. Someday, when he is older, he will have to be sat down and told what happened to his mother and the reason why she is gone. In the weeks and months since April 16th, I have been living a nightmare which I cannot wake up from. I now define life as before April 16th and after April 16th. My last memory of her is seeing the back of her head from where I sat on the couch as she ran out the door, not knowing she was meeting her killer. Kiersten did not die peacefully of cancer in a hospital bed, surrounded by her loved ones. She died alone, a violent death at the hands of an evil monster. He was someone she loved and trusted. What a betrayal. She did not deserve what happened to her.
I want to tell you about Upside. It's a great free app that will get you cash back on things like gas, groceries, and restaurants. This is real cash back. It's money that appears in your Upside app that you can transfer straight into your bank account. I've used Upside in a number of places, especially when I needed a cup of tea or coffee. I claim an offer on the app, I pay as usual and follow the steps, and I get cash back. It's really, really easy. You can also use Upside at places like Shell, Exxon, 7-Eleven, Taco Bell, and that's just to name a few. To find out how much you could earn, click the link in the description to download Upside or scan that QR code that you see on your screen and use our promo code CRIMEFIX to get an extra 25 cents back on every gallon on your first tank of gas. That's promo code CRIMEFIX for extra cash back. Kiersten's mother then brings up her grandson who is left to grow up never knowing his mom.
It breaks my heart knowing that her son will have to grow up without his mother. She loved him, and she has already missed so much. She was not there to see him take his first steps, hear him say his first word, or take a bite of his first birthday cake. When he starts school, she won't be there. When he reads his first book or aces a spelling test, she won't be there. When he gets an A on a school project or wins a ribbon or award, she won't be there. When he attends his first dance, when he learns how to drive, she won't be there. If he gets a part in the school play or makes the team, she won't be there to watch. When he starts his first job, when he graduates, she still won't be there.
Then she builds the courage to address Logan Barclay directly, and she talks about how he callously took her daughter's life.
You had options, but you chose the wrong one. You gave us a life sentence, a life without our daughter and sister. Therefore, you should have to forfeit yours. My family and I ask this court to show you no leniency. Mr. Barclay, I don't like you. I have never liked you, and I will never forgive you. You are a sociopath and a pathological liar. I hope she haunts you in your cell. I truly believe she has unfinished business, things she needs to say. She was not ready to go yet. It was far from her time. She was only 22. Quite frankly, I do not care what you have to say, because I know you are not sorry. You are only sorry you got caught. I hope that you spend the rest of your time left here on this planet wasting away in misery, every day of your directionless, pathetic life. Rot in hell.
Now, you heard Kiersten was a twin. Her brother then spoke.
Over the past year, I've had to come to terms with the fact that my sister, who I've been with since birth, is gone. I have to move through life knowing that her story was cut short. My future children will never know their aunt. I will never get to see the person that she becomes. However, my grief doesn't compare to the loving parents having to lay their daughter to rest, to a lady whose life was cut short as she was just starting out, to the life who was cut down before they even had a chance, and to the boy who will grow up never knowing his parents.
Following the statements from the victim's family, the district attorney, Jason Sanders, addressed the judge about the state's position.
Now, normally at a sentencing hearing, I don't really need to spend a lot of time describing the crime. And to be honest, I was hoping I wouldn't have to here. But the thing is, Judge, I read every word of this PSI, and then I printed it and I read it all again and highlighted it. And then I read every word of the defense sentencing memorandum twice. And unfortunately, I have to talk about this crime with some specifics, because the number one emotion I felt upon reading these things was disappointment. Yes, Logan Barclay lied every single time he talked to police. But every time they would track him, they would narrow him in, he would at least get closer to the truth. And I knew he pled guilty. And obviously it's possible that he just pled guilty because he was aware that throwing himself on the mercy of this court and begging was the only chance he had to not die in prison. But I hoped that he was doing it because over the course of the last 10 months, he'd gotten himself to the point where he was going to finally give us the truth. But he didn't. He told 4 stories to police, and all of his words in both of these documents are continuations of that 4th lying story.
The DA then cues up several clips from the defendant's interrogation to demonstrate his constant lies. Let's take a look.
that wasn't gonna happen, even though she still brings it up pretty regularly that she wants more. But I have to turn her down every time. I'm not interested. I don't have any kind of together about my life, and I'm trying to fix that.
Okay. So when you were dating her on and off, hanging out, you were cool with it, how long did that kind of continue?
So that has actually continued up to, I want to say present day, but it obviously circumstances as they are.
What does that mean?
What are you saying? I mean,
Oh, I mean, there's a chance she could just be like out with a friend or something, right?
I hope.
Yeah.
I really do hope. I don't know what friend she would be out with that she wouldn't have told her mom about, but I really do hope that's all it is.
It is a good thing that I'm a district attorney and not a detective. Because at this point, half an hour into sitting down with Logan Barclay, with him talking like that about how he hopes she's just out with a friend, I would want to leap into the room like Carol Kane in The Princess Bride. I would just start shouting, "Liar!" Except, luckily, Detective Schoonover and Betchen are experienced and patient humans. I won't make the court sit through it, but they let Logan Barclay lie, sincerely, for 1 hour and 20 minutes before Detective Schoonover eventually tells him, "I know that being kind to you, about 50% of what you said to me is total bull. Do you want to try again?" Then he begins story number 3, which is not as long in terms of part of the interview. When he eventually gets to story 4, which is the version he told the detectives.
Prosecutor Sanders ends his argument. He's adamant that Barclay should serve the maximum sentence for his role as the dungeon master of the horrific crime. That's what he said, because Barclay liked Dungeons and Dragons.
Fate didn't lure her to the woods and bring a gun. Fate didn't shoot her in the stomach and leave her there to be found by joggers or eaten by animals, whichever came first. Fate didn't cruelly walk away, stashing the evidence, hiding her phone, and fate didn't lie about how he hopes she's out with friends. Logan Barclay didn't play anything. He's the dungeon master. He set everything up from the very beginning of a concrete plan that he has still, to this day, refused against all evidence to acknowledge. And that's why I say lies, sir. Because literally every shred of evidence says he's lying. And the only pieces of evidence that say anything in support of his theory are the words of that guy, Mr. I Hope.
Then it came time for the defense to make their plea to the judge.
I agree with the prosecutor said that this is a grave offense. It's just such a violation to take a life of another human being. And that has to be something that factors in heavily into your decision today, Judge. But that's not the only thing that we factor in, because in this country, we don't have law that is eye for an eye. That is not how our justice system is set up. Our justice system is set up to say that the court is to impose the least measure of punishment that is in line or commiserative with what has happened and what all the facts are. So we don't automatically go to, if you take a life, you have to forfeit your own. That's just not the standard that we have. I'm asking you to do a really tough thing in a room full of people that don't want you to do it, and I understand why, but I am asking you to set an outdated sentence.
Now to the most anticipated moment. Logan Barclay addressed the court.
I'd like to apologize to my family and to all the other people affected by my actions. So, that's all.
Now, after Logan Barclay makes this statement, The judge offers his opinion about the case.
And then you shot her. And you left her. And she had to crawl to a tree to try to pull herself up. You took her phone, you left. You say you panicked. But you took the phone. You know, I hadn't even thought about just throwing it in the river until it was talked about this morning. But you took it home, and you took it back to her house, around her house, where again it would be found, again, as part of the plan. You know, it's interesting, Ms. Frost, you indicated he's good at engineering. And it kind of fits into Mr. Sanders' argument that he engineered the plan. And when I look at, he took it, he went to his friends, he went out, had some drinks with his friend. Friends asked him, you seem fine. Well, in the report, he said, well, I was just holding it in. So was he? He's sitting there, he's concerned about where Kiersten is. Hopefully she doesn't do something dumb. And I think it fits into the argument the state talks about here, that he was creating an alibi. You know, and ultimately, when he's questioned and caught about it, he lies. And then he lies again. And he continued to lie as the detectives finally pushed him into finally telling what happened.
And with that, the judge sentences Logan Barclay.
You know, I've read through all the reports. I've looked at Mr. Barclay's background. He had some issues. He's had some trouble in his life, personal troubles. He's had some emotional issues. That doesn't excuse what he chose to do here. I believe he engineered this plan that ultimately cost Kiersten her life. So you're getting, obviously, life in prison for the felony, for the intentional homicide. I'm going to make you eligible for extended supervision, but not for 50 years. It's going to make you 73 if you're still around. 50 years, given the complexity and I believe the heinousness of this event, is the appropriate sentence.
Logan Barclay will be a senior citizen when he's eligible for release. Not only did he end Kiersten Hansen's life that day last year, he effectively ended his own. And that's it for this episode of Crime Fix. I'm Angenette Levy. Thanks so much for being with me. I'll see you back here next time.